My next question is from Mercedes and Andy, and they're asking me about celery, which is an interesting one because I've not been a big grower of celery, but I know a little bit about it. It's not the easiest of crop. And they're wondering what to do as the celery begins to happen and it's thinning and they're not getting many stems on it. Well, the art of celery growing, to be honest with you, is to do a thing called earthing up. What's happening is your celery is becoming spindly. This is my educated guess anyway. It's becoming spindly as it's growing and it's competing and it etiolates, a thing called etiolating, which means it stretches for the light. A way to avoid that is as the celery starts to grow is just take the soil from around it and earth up. This is a traditional way of doing it. Earth up, and this will keep the stems really rigid and stiff, and then later on you can pull them and cut them and they'll be quite strong. That's one way of doing it. That's quite the traditional way of doing it. They call it blanching. There are actually varieties on the market that self-blanch. Also maybe pay attention to your spacing. It might be a bit close together. I would have celery good 30 centimetres apart or thereabouts. Maybe a bit of homework there for you to do. As I say, I've not grown a lot of celery myself. Another issue is raspberries. One day they're nice and healthy looking and the next day before ripening you're just going to go and pick them and they're all mushy and they fade colour and they drop on the floor. It's a bit unfortunate, isn't it, really? Well, I think that this is probably a mildew problem. Some sort of mildew or fungus is attacking them. It probably means that your stems are a bit overcrowded. You might need to thin them a bit. Think of plants of any description, especially these ones, as a living being. And like a person, like me and you, we need space to breathe and move and take in the elements like oxygen and carbon dioxide. So if a plant is very dense and overcrowded and the stems are crossing, etc., then that plant's more vulnerable to fungus and disease because it's just crowded. So if you cut out any dead disease or dying wood, keep the vigorous young shoots and cut out the old ones, there's more air moving around that plant, there's less chance of mildews and funguses. It also might be a case that wherever they're growing, the air's quite still. So you might find that as well. You can spray with a copper fungicide. I don't recommend it if you're going to eat. But just keep the plant open and spacey and fresh and make sure it's getting air.